very happy to share my story.
There's so much about this story to tell. We were there one night just interviewing the family. We weren't even really there to do any investigations, because normally when we do an investigation, we ask the family to stay somewhere else, because something happens. So we were there just, listening, taking notes, photographing. We did have an investigator with us. She ventured upstairs on her own, which is a big no-no for us. She kind of just wandered upstairs, just taking pictures of the home. And the girls at one point were asleep, but then one of the children was getting very agitated in the crib, and we have video of this. And the baby grabs the crib, stands up and goes, "Sit down." Oh, and all of a sudden, almost on cue, you hear a crash.
As to the basic decision to go all in on a major renovation costing between 50 and 117 million, a surprising number are there, if not all of them. And you would think a complicated decision that it should be so detailed should be based on a very detailed and thorough case, which has not yet been made, to even make, to give public indications that you're all in. I'm really surprised by that. But Aaron, it's back to you.
If we didn't see a need for some sort of improvements in our facilities, then we wouldn't have conducted a facility study to begin with.
Aaron brought up running on a platform of repairing the schools. And I think everybody wants to repair the schools. But these options go way beyond repairing.
Wait a minute, Ralph. Are you saying no one ran on a platform of spending $117 million?
Well, I just
Is that what you're saying? Because I want to get that out. Are you saying no one ran on a platform of spending $50 to $60 million?
I don't remember it, and I'm glad.
Really?
I'm glad she brought up repairs.
Yes. That one works. Yes. Let's see. If this is mine, I got wheels. What kind of wheels work better? Small. What are you trying to do here?
We're trying to get it
All the way to the wall. Has anybody got it?
2 wheels again. Now I can go light-handed.
Good morning, I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Mariner Record Journal, coming to you late Tuesday night in the midnight hour. I am the Midnight Cruiser, swooping in because all our quarterfinal games.
Men of Wrath. We were going to get into that with Ron tonight. Ron had a comic book that was very popular, came out last year, and it
was a creator-owned book called Men of Wrath, and it was
really
ready to be shot on USA Network, and then Harvey Weinstein happened. I think it set off that whole sexual harassment narrative, and so the Me Too movement really capitalized on it and decided they wanted to give more roles to females, and because they said, and I quote, it was too male-driven, too white male-driven or male-driven, so they didn't want a male-driven television show.
Are you hopeful that it could come a couple of years away? And
I'm always hopeful.
Welcome to Midlife Matters, where we celebrate women's wisdom and wit. I'm Georgianne Lucier, your host, and I am delighted to introduce today's guest, Eileen McCaughren, a pioneer who has rescued over 5,000 greyhounds and recently recovered from a serious stroke. With her today is Conan, her pet, who's a wonderful example of a magnificent greyhound. Welcome, Eileen.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Over 5,000 greyhounds are indebted to you.
I asked the magic question, what happens to these dogs when they no longer race?
We have online voter registration because the DMV keeps a record of all people's signatures. You can now go on your phone and register to vote if you have a Connecticut driver's license. And they cross-check your information with your signature. It's an application, essentially, and they still send it to the local registrar.
Right.
And you're not actually a voter until that registrar accepts the application. They send you a card and say, congratulations, you're a voter, and you're done. And it's a really great process.
So the registrar is who really checks your citizenship.
That's right.
And then once you're registered, they send you a confirmation.
That's right.
And if you change.
Everybody basically knows our story, and it's gotten out in the news, and people have read about us. What would you say is the take-home lesson from our story?
Well, right from the beginning, I always said, 5 minutes was my thing. I always said, if I had spent 5 minutes, knocked on the door, your door, found out who you were, what you were all about, and what you weren't about, it would have made all the difference in the world.
So what do you mean by weren't about?
Weren't about terrorism.
Exactly.
I'll go right to it,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was, I didn't know. I lived lived next door to the mosque for, 10 years, and I didn't really know anything about Islam or what was going on in there, and I thought the worst.
And why?
Okay, welcome to our community conversation. I'm Beth, this is my friend Kiki, and we'll be talking about race and relationships today.
I was afraid to move to Connecticut and I wasn't aware that the Ku Klux Klan was in Wallingford, but I was afraid of being surrounded by a bunch of white people. I thought skinheads and the Klan was going to come after me because I wear my hair natural and I identify with my blackness so much.
Right. You must have been fearful, though, leaving, I don't want to say a protected area, but an area that was just like you, to kind of come out of that and come into something that was so unfamiliar, so new, and so different.
This is the conversation that we're meant to have. This is what I was talking about. You
I think
don't
we're
wait
getting
your
better
turn.
and better.
Whether you cite scripture or secular things or whatever you want to cite, the audience is learning how to start the conversation, and then there's collateral education happening.
Well, you notice what happened here, which I thought was fascinating. Forget all of what we said. Did you notice how the group, when somebody else was trying to get in, would defer and get that person in? That alone is a lesson that this world needs because of...
Give up your platform.
Give up your damn platform.
With you, and welcome back.
How do we convince the other person? I mean, it's easy to see how that's disrespecting the flag.
What do we want to convince them of? That those two people can be in the same room, and one can kneel and one can cover their heart. They both can do it at the same time and approach it with dignity. They don't have to judge the other as they're doing it. They merely need to have their own truth,
Right.
and be allowed to have their own truth.
Who knows what this is? Anyone? This is the original authorized replica of the first human rights declaration that was ever made. In 539 BCE, there was a king by the name of Cyrus. And from all documentation, that was the first human rights declaration that was ever written for humans. People lived with it, people believed in it, people abided by it, but it was never documented. So this is called the Cyrus's Cylinder, and I'll read some of the
Everyone is not a poet, but everyone has a poem within. Thank you all for joining us at Out Loud. We look forward to discussing topics with you such as addiction, school to prison, breaking that chain as well, possibly gun violence. We're going to let you pick the topic, and we're going to reach out to you to help us find the poems that can speak to you out loud.
I got to the prompt for landmark, and I decided to draw our local Dairy Queen.
I would love to see our local Dairy Queen.
So this is the local Dairy Queen here. I had done that in February of 2017. Didn't really think anything of it. I had shared it just on my Facebook page and then Instagram, and did get some feedback. People liked it. I kept going with the daily drawing prompts and sharing them every day. But then I think it was sometimes maybe in May, I said, I'm just going to share the Dairy Queen on the local Wallingford Forum on Facebook.
Which is the closed group on Facebook, but it's for residents of
Mhm.
Wallingford, which has an amazing following.
It does. And I just thought, it'd be fun for everyone to see it. And my whole thing was, sharing beauty and positivity. And I thought, this would be a nice thing for the community. I didn't really think anything of it. And then later that day, I checked my Facebook notifications and I can't remember the exact number, but it was a large number of likes. It was well over 150 likes.
This one picture
Yeah.
created that much engagement throughout our town.
Right. And people started reminiscing and just getting excited. And I thought, oh my goodness, there's something to this. So I thought, I'll start to illustrate our town.
Back on my life, I think I was so fortunate, it was my childhood dream when I was 13, when I first started playing, to make a living at playing music, and the dream came true, and it was, an incredible ride. Of course, it didn't last.
Love is the what, and this is the why.
And welcome to The Who, The What, and The Why, a brand new TV series that focuses on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility right here in our community. It's brought to you by the Wallingford Family YMCA. I'm your host, Eric Hutchinson, and we have a great show today. Later in the program, we have Tyler LaMontagne on. Tyler is the owner of Fit and Trim Nutrition, and he will be talking to us about some great holiday meals that we can use without tipping the scales this year. We also have Colleen Villano from the YMCA talking to us about great ways to stay in shape around the holidays. First guest today from the Wallingford Family YMCA Youth Development Department, we have Joe Frankie and Emily Walter.
Hi, Eric.
Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for coming by today.
You're welcome.
And we just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of youth development. That's one of the things that the Y focuses on here in Wallingford and around the world is youth development. We wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on right here in Wallingford as far as our youth development departments. But first, I wanted to ask and whatnot, what is the benefit to the child of being in a youth development program?
They're surrounded with children of their same age group. If they start from infancy, then that transition into school is definitely a little bit easier.
You are the who, love is the what, and this is the why. You are the who, love is the what, and this is the why.
Welcome to Eileen's Croatian Station.
Youth Night was a fun, interactive event with youth and a green screen.
You're on live air. Welcome back on WPAA Kids. Today is partly cloudy and 81 degrees. Come on, be with us now.
How do they do this?
I'm the B-roll man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What's a B-roll man?
Baby Darren.
I'm I think behind the scenes person.
Yeah, he shows behind the scenes probably. So you're here when when a TV shows?
I get all the funny moments.
Yeah, all the cuts. Cut. Cut. Oh no. I'm embarrassed to be his sister. You guys have a surprise guest. The mascot. No. Not really. Surprise. Is there I think it was a penguin.
To be eligible for the improvements, homeowners were required to be low income, elderly, or handicapped. Many of these kids have taken part in multiple mission trips.
Sometimes you'll never see them again, but you'll always have the special connections of that 1 week where you built a house almost.
I decided the best way to tackle this was to make a montage of the Saturday evening and Sunday morning that happens before camp, and then get into more of the gritty details of the Sunday evening through Friday of how everything happens. I hope you can enjoy my experience as a camper throughout this work camp.
It's currently 6:46 on Saturday evening.
It is Friday, so sit back and enjoy our last day. So we had reached the point where we were finally painting the house yellow. The residents appreciated it so much. They were great residents, so welcome.
Say we risked our lives doing up there, but anything for the community of Wallingford, Connecticut.
We couldn't go above this line up here. They wouldn't let us, too high, but we did pretty well.
We finished up the house.
Thank you, Santa. We appreciate it.
I'll see you boys soon. Merry Christmas!
Good night. Good night, Santa. That was awesome. Can't believe that he likes it. It looks like this is a go.
We're good. For Santa.
We work for Santa Claus. We work for Santa.
From now on, our troubles will be miles away.
I just had the pleasure of meeting your husband.
And I am my wife's husband. How do you do, Madam Brasilla? Shh! Sorry. Terribly sorry. I hope you enjoy the play, sir. I will, if I can watch it.
Feeling quite pleased with himself for having made the most of this golden opportunity.
The Backyard Theater Ensemble is an all-volunteer community theater organization.
Okay, we're the Wallingford Wanderers and we're all idiots. There we go. Captain Keith, away!
I have learned the ways of the knives that fly by watching from the darkest places in our den, the places of shadows where light cannot enter. I perfected the ways by sharpening the skills until I knew I had no equal. I killed them all. Every guard, every spy, every assassin. My knife sliced into his belly with ease. The execution of my father and the suicide of my mother were avenged by the spilling of his blood. This is why I rule the Whisper Den. This is why I am the Lord of Stealth and Silence. To spare the ones who encounter the sharp edge of my blade.
I've been a private investigator for over 30 years, and I've seen it all. And I've always lived by one rule: don't let it get personal. But this time it's different. I had no choice. I've been searching for my cat Fluffy for the past 7 months, and I haven't had any luck. She jumped out a window chasing a bird one day, and I haven't seen her since. My investigations so far have been pretty underwhelming, but they've led me to the small, cold, desolate town of Wallingford, Connecticut.